Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're checking out a rotation HavenCraft deck. So we've seen a lot of Elena decks, we've seen a lot of those similar decks. This one though, a bit different. This one is mostly an Amulet based Haven deck by the looks of most of the cards that are of course ran in it. From playing it a bit, I've got the feel that's definitely the way it was heading and what it was aiming for. So City of Gold of course being a great Amulet proc, running a lot of things that combo quite nicely when subtracted or when subtracting to get nice bonuses, and of course, since this is an Amulet Haven, but we're taking advantage of some evolve mechanics as well, things like Zeus become available options for finishes, Prince of Cocytus becomes an option, we're even running Lapis, as Lapis actually isn't a bad card if you're looking to try something different for a win condition. So this deck technically has at least 3 win conditions, the of course primary 3 being Lapis as a finisher, Prince of Cocytus as all its high cards can easily finish a game, and Zeus. So those are the 3 main finishes. Mostly I've found Zeus to be the most consistent of the 3, the others are just really good pressure or really good doorstops. Otherwise they're definitely the ones you want to focus on. Overall though, that whole bottom archetype of evolving and amulets really does support all of these at the top here. So Zeus of course gaining advantage from all the evos, either from Olivia or from stuff like Featherfolk Gardener or the other evolve cards. Prince of Cocytus not really relying on anything as it stands on its own pretty well, and Lapis actually takes advantage of a lot of the cost reduction things, so that can actually come in handy too. So they all do a really nice job of taking advantage of the cards that they're in the deck around them, so we are going to get right into this and check it out. So the first game here that we are going to be playing against is Bloodcraft. This is fairly early after the buffs slash semi-nerfs. They weren't really nerfs, they were mostly buffs to be honest. I think they were all pretty much buffs if you look at them. You could say that Otohime's Accelerate was technically a nerf, but at the same time since it buffed Bodyguard it made sense and kind of evened back out again, but everything else was basically a buff. So we started off with a pretty relaxed hand. I did go for Pinion Lake as my opener, since I wanted to be a little more aggressive. I didn't want to go for the City of Gold and then play Lake and have to worry about it that way. I'd much rather just get it out and have a solid turn 3 play. Unfortunately, we didn't end up drawing well enough to get a solid turn 3 play, so setting up some more aggressive plays. Go. Going up against Blood can be a little tricky sometimes, especially in the current flow of things, as Blood seems to be a little all over the place as far as deck design goes. But I did find that the Totem of Madness is actually a really good transform, and really helps in a lot of matchups. There's not a lot of matchups that can really contend with the Totem, which is always a good thing. Now as you saw here, having them completely lose attack power when they attack into me is just way too much of an advantage to miss out on. I did go for the Forgotten Sanctuary, as I felt that was definitely one of the best lines of play you can go for on turn 5, although I don't know if it was necessarily my best choice. If I had went for the Evolve on the Emra, whatever it is, the Mad God thing, that one, I would have actually got to drop the cost down immediately and actually got 2 wards out, which may have been a little bit better, to be honest. Plus I could have done a little bit more damage to face, so maybe I should have taken that route. Either way though, now we're pushing some evos through, getting at least those 2 there, so we're up to a 3 evo for Zeus, which gives us decent odds of at least putting up a ward or heal in the later game. Provided we even get to the later game at this rate, since we are losing our Totem of Madness now. But another Forgotten Sanctuaries. We actually have Forgotten Sanctuaries set up to go back to back right now, which is going to be really good. Plus we end up getting City of Gold out. I actually completely forgot by this point in the match that it would proc itself on the 2 play point mark. Not that that's a big problem. If we get an amulet that potentially draws us cards, we do want it to proc quickly, so not a bad thing to get now. It's just taking up the board, which is a little awkward. But they end up obviously conceding, because how do you get around the 3-2 without actually having a way to deal damage to it? So by that point in the last match we already had victory, well and truly. It really wasn't going to be an issue.
My barrier is impenetrable.
Activate. Enhance. Fire.
Portal though can be a little trickier. Portal actually got a fairly good buff. I've actually got a Portal video that will go up in a few days. Do look out for that one. But Portal, yeah, got a quite nice buff, and overall actually does really well as a deck. I actually quite enjoyed playing it. It does take a little bit of adjustment, and you don't want to miss potential lethals, but outside of that, it's quite strong. Shadow also seems to be doing quite well for itself, and is definitely a deck I'm interested in checking out, but I haven't currently, as of making this video, found a deck list for a deck that I'd be happy to do a video on, so I'll keep looking for that before we get into it. So this match really has just been straightforward. I went for the early 1-drop, we got the Golden 30 out. Turn 3 is looking to be even more draw power, which honestly may have been the wrong decision. Going for draw power is good and all, but since we are actually drawing 3 next turn anyway, it really wasn't overall necessary, since now we are going to burn a card. It's a little disappointing. It was Feather though, could have been worse to be honest. Did have to take the Grimnir though, can't leave up the 3-4, too much risky damage against Portal. And I may as well at least keep healing. We do have the Angelic Smites though. They are definitely the best card to deal with something like this, Omen of Destruction now. Once they drop black, we can use our Angel to, of course, destroy it immediately and not have to deal with it at all. And that pretty much triples one of their win cons. It's actually why some of the Portal decks I've seen experimented with don't even run Omen. She's not really that super crazy good. Some of them just focus more on the artifact playstyle, but I haven't tested all of them since the changes, so obviously I can't guarantee that she isn't obviously a good card. She's just... There's definitely situations where she's a little more awkward. Especially if you end up investing your whole game into it. You can definitely lose out in that situation. So I got the Transform. Means I don't have to deal with it at all. We can actually kill this off and keep up our 3-5. Odds are they're not going to be playing a follower at least that should kill this. They'd have to get something... what? 8 damage at least to wipe this out, and that's not something that's super easy. Otherwise, they're just wasting cards at that point. Although, wasting cards for them is quite good because they get Destruction in white and Destruction in black, becoming more playable. So, they definitely aren't going to make the wrong mistake, I would say. Although I do think quite drawn out. I think we get to a point where we're just being dragged into the late game, if my memory serves me correctly for this match. It was a few hours ago that I had actually done this one, and I've done a few video setups after, so sorry if I'm not 100% up to date on how long this game actually goes for. But we make some okay decisions. I mean, overall the opponent's just picking off followers now. We've got some pretty okay board, and there's not really too much to deal with. Some free evos also helped us out quite nicely. And they are wasting a lot of resources, which looks really good for us considering we do a Lapis for next turn if we want it. Which of course we do. Why wouldn't we want to play Lapis? The only real issue now is if it for some reason gets transformed. And that's really it. It's only if it gets transformed. Banishment's fine. Banishment makes no difference. If it summons itself though, at least then we get the Amulet out. Obviously once the Amulet comes out, if they play Angelic we lose out, which sucks, but if they can't, then we move into the next stage of the game, which should be interesting. So our Transform worked well, we've got Olivia. This actually might be where we kind of just end the game here. There's not really much of a comeback to this now. Unless they can remove my Amulet, set up their own, it's not going to be fun. And thinking back on it, it must be another game against Portal that I got dragged out in, but this still wasn't a half bad game overall. Maisha Hero Purgation. Now I remember, yeah. So the problem here was the fact that I believe they were actually lacking as far as followers destroyed went. They must have been just short on the outcome. So while some of you guys don't like concede games, I think they were actually half decent. Even with that last game being a concede, the Maisha, I believe, after looking into it, yeah, it was definitely, they were just shy on damage. I think they would have been somewhere around the 16 to 18 range, but not quite at the 19. Or if they were, they just made a huge misstep. I'm not really sure, because I'm pretty sure they're on turn 10. Pretty sure the Maisha would have gotten playability. I don't think the hand was overclogged. If it was, then I just completely missed that. But overall, they would have had the lethal if they had correct damage. For just off the top of my head, not that matters too much because we pretty much screwed the game at that point. Other than dealing with the Maisha finisher, that was really their only chance to make a comeback, and everything else was pretty crippling. So not great for them. But I had at least fun with this deck, and that was the main thing. This deck was a little bit different. It's a little legendary heavy, but outside of that, it was fun, and that's something that you can't find a lot these days in a lot of Shadowverse decks. A lot of them are super meta heavy, super oppressive, and this deck just felt like it had so many nice options that you always had something different that you could go for, something different you could play, and I like that. That was fun. So if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe. You'll find the link in the description below. Until next time, guys, see ya.